Yo! What up, everyone? We are watching the BSG Devcast today. This retired PMC is coming out just to kind of get some intel on what's going on inside the region. Looking good, dude. Haven't seen you in a while. You changed the look slightly. Yeah, cut my hair a little bit. So I'm also over here getting jacked. Honestly, bro, I just don't see that happening. I don't feel like these are going to come in and be like, why are you playing Tarkov anymore, Queen? You abandoned the game. You never play anymore. You don't gotta have an opinion. F you. We don't really get people like that in the stream anymore, man. Would I ever pick Tark back up? Yeah, probably. Like, I'm very keen to see what they have planned for 1.0. You know, for me, like, I just want to beat the game, bro. I just want to just complete the story. I want to escape Tarkov. I want to do that. I want to, like, that's all I've ever wanted to do. That's always been, like, my most desired thing about the game. You know, which is basically just like, I want to escape Tarkov. I want to leave this place because it's supposed to be shitty and not fun. Not stay here in Prestige all day. And, like, you know, worry about getting Kappa container and farming a bunch of shit that doesn't matter and getting my KD up and getting my survival rate up, which doesn't matter. Because Tarkov is the type of game where it's like, the game was never really, at least for me, again, this is my personal opinion. For me, the game was never supposed to be about KD, survival rate, how much money you had, or any of this kind of shit. It was always just supposed to be about just you being this incredibly immersive, like, post-dystopian, like, city that's overran by, like, military PMCs and, like, bandits and shit. And it was never supposed to be about how good you are, or how much money you had, or how many PMC kills you had, or how much your survival rate was, or any. It was just supposed to be immersive and fun. And losing was supposed to be a part of the fun. Dying and struggling was was supposed to be a part of the enjoyment of the game. And I guess the community, at least again in my opinion, kind of fostered this like competitive, like esport like type behavior where they're like, oh, it's a battle royale, I need to be the one to survive, I need to win all the time, I need to always get out alive, I can never die, whatever. And, like, you know, when people die in Tarkov, it makes them so angry and they mauled. I can't tell you how many streamers I've seen who have, like, unlimited gear kits, unlimited fucking money, everything, and then they die once in a raid and they're just like, they fucking rant about it for like 30 minutes and they're so butthurt about it. But it's like, dog, it's like you could die 1,000 times and you'd still have more gear and money left over to keep going. It's not like you've lost everything and you can no longer play the game anymore and you're, like, you know, struggling financially in the world of EFT as a PMC. And, like, that type of behavior, I think, like, bled out to a lot of the community and, like, it kind of made the game turn out the way it did. Where it's like, it's not really, like, an immersive game anymore. It's more about just, like, going in and PvPing and prestiging. It feels more like Call of Duty, if anything, with a lot of extra steps and a lot of, like, extra things that you need to know. Because EFT is not a challenging game. It's just, there's a lot of RNG and there's a lot of itemization that you need to understand in terms of, like, what ammo to use, what armor to use, what weapon attachments to use, and so on, and learning the maps. But once you once you figure out the maps, once you figure out where spawn points are, EFT is one of the most predictable experiences out there. There's nothing dynamic about it whatsoever. You spawn in, I know players in point A, B, and C. Okay, I'm gonna go run this way, look right, wait for the guy to come out of spawn and kill him. Oh, I spawned here right next to dorms. I can go to dorms right now and loot this place because nobody's been here because it's 50 minutes in the raid and nobody else has spawned close. Oh, it's 25 minutes in the raid, so player scavs are going to start spawning in, and I know that they're going to be coming from these directions, and they're probably going to come out and check out this spot and here and there. There's no dynamicness to it. It's a completely solved experience. There's nothing random. And what makes me sad, actually not upset, but it makes me sad, is that the community wants the game to be more predictable. They want to be able to know what the is going to happen next. They don't want to be put into an uncomfortable situation where they have to adapt and overcome. Bear Grylls, drink my own piss. They don't want to drink their own pee. Don't get me wrong, I don't want to drink my own pee either. But sometimes when you're forced into a harsh situation, in order to survive, you might have to drink your own piss. A lot of people, they want it to be like this very predictable and consistent, competitive, like, tournament style experience. EFT is only an extraction game with timers because it cannot be an open world game. That's the only reason why raid timers exist. It's the only reason why raids themselves exist, is because the game cannot work as an open world. Unity just cannot handle that, and Tarkov is such like a modified version of Unity. It's very hard for them to get something to work like that. I mean, I hope they can do it one day. It would be great. I mean, obviously they're building the world and the raids, and they're interconnecting everything to kind of have this feeling of open world, but the game isn't like that. It just, again, like I said, it makes me kind of sad because EFT is my favorite game, and the reason I stopped playing it is because I felt the game just shift and the community shift into people who just really appreciated immersion and wanting to like be in like a survival experience where like you're not having to like have to constantly scavenge for food and water all the time, but it's like you need to go into raids to find things. You should have to go into the raids to look for things. That should be like the main loop. Instead, it's like go into raids to find things that are worth a lot of money, sell those things for money, buy whatever you want from the traders, buy whatever you need from the flea market. And it kind of like lost its feeling of like survival. And you know, a lot of people would argue, well, Tarkov's never a survival game. You're not wrong. It should still be a survival game in the sense where it's like, oh shit, I need food and water. I should have to go into raid so I can stock up. Oh, I'm low on like this certain particular barter item that I use to craft things in my hideout. Let's go into a raid and look for it. You don't really have that feeling anymore. You don't really have to do that much at all, unless it's for like very particular items that you just can't buy off the traders or flea market, which are not a lot. There's not a lot of things that you can't buy off the traders or the flea market. It's just no longer as immersive as it used to be. I want it to be like this very immersive game, and it's just not. It's like I said, it feels like Warzone now with a lot of extra steps. The community only cares about PvPing, prestiging, making money, farming sick clips and stuff and whatever. The real EFT for me, and I hate to say this, because I feel like it's a little disrespectful to Battle State, but I can't help it just because it's how I feel. SPT, realism, with sane AI, looting bots and questing bots feels like the real Tarkov to me. It's super immersive. It feels very tactical, different weapon positions, rework to the medical system, rework to weapon attachments, recoil and stats. Like, man, that whole those mods together create such an immersive Tarkov experience that feels really dynamic and very alive and real. You don't have like AI scavs that are just like, I'm a scav. Shaky Bricky eats Tashonka, walks back and forth in the same spot. Like all the AI are like alive and moving. They have goals. They actually feel like players. And then realism mod really like redesigns the gameplay elements of the game, like the traders, the weapon stats, the medical system, the recoil, the armor system, the gunplay, all of it. It redesigns all of it, rebalances all of it, and it feels like what the game should have been, in my opinion, as like more of a milsim kind of style game. Even though I know a lot of people don't like that. Oh, milsim scary, but like it makes it more akin to real life, which in turn makes it more immersive and authentic in a lot of ways. Some of those may not be liked by people, which I totally understand. Everybody has their preference, but that's my preference, and that's what I think is honestly like what EFT should have been as the game it was advertising itself as. You know, I think the game just kind of grew a community that got into it for the wrong reasons. They just saw all the PvP and basically the war zone with extra steps. They're just like, oh, this is basically a battle royale. And, you know, because of that, it blew up and had a big surgence of players that weren't really there for the immersion or the authenticity. They were really there for just like the idea of the game, if that makes sense. Like this false idea of the game. But again, this is just my perspective on as like a longtime player who doesn't play the game anymore. Nikita lost track of what he wants to do with the game. I don't think it's necessarily that, but I think that him and as well as BSJ realized that the community that they grew wasn't the one that they expected. And I think the game just grew too fast. It grew a community, like I said, that didn't really understand what they were getting into, and they would constantly push for change in areas that they didn't realize that was the original idea. That's always been the idea for the game to be that way. Like the best example I have of this is the weight system. I've talked about this a couple times. When the weight system was first introduced, before it was implemented, you could like literally like have 80 kilos of gear and you know still like sprint through raids, and like, you know, you could wipe a 4-man squad, take all their gear, and literally like run out of the raid, right? And then so the weight system came in, and they wiped everybody's strength and endurance. And everybody knows at the start of the wipe, when you have 0 strength and 0 endurance, it kind of sucks. Like, it's kind of hard to do stuff. And so people were instantly like upset that, oh, I killed a 3-man and I can only take out like one of their guns, or like I'm going into my raids slightly overweight already. This is stupid. Well, it's like, yeah, no shit. Like you're heavy. You're wearing an Alton, a 4-plate carrier, and a rifle that weighs like 6 kilos. That's a lot of weight. And you have like 50 round magazines, and like you have 4 of them. You're gonna be heavy. And so like that happened, and the knee-jerk reaction from the community was like, this fucking sucks. We can't run around with loot anymore, blah, blah, blah. And like nobody even bothered to try and like, you know, see what it felt like when they leveled their strength. And so they basically neutered the weight system because of community and like content creator feedback. there's only like a very few people who just adjusted the way that they played and like tried to like, they're like, oh, okay, the game plays this way now, I have to do this now. Instead, everybody just like kept bulldozing, trying to do it the old way when there's a new feature that was supposed to change everything. And so they neutered the weight system to where the weight system basically did nothing. It was like, it was a non-feature at that point because of how much they nerfed it. And then, want to know what happened after that? Oh my god, everybody's moving so fast. Oh my god, these guys with Altons and like SA58s and like massive HKs with 60-round mags are just like peeking me at 100 millisecond speeds, and they're able to sprint and jump around like it's nothing. Whoa, that's crazy. It's almost like there's a system put in place to slow people down and wear heavy gear. Isn't that crazy? And guess what happened after that? They compounded it and they had to add inertia. Inertia never needed to be in the game.
Clean 7.
Inertia never needed to happen with Tarkov, ever. It never needed to be in the game. But it had to, because guess what? Everybody is super fast. So they had to do something about it. And so that example right there is like the hubris or the hypocrisy of the community in so many ways. Another example is the armor system. Everybody was complaining about getting shot in the armpit, getting shot in the throat, or whatever, you know, getting random one taps to the chest, and the community's knee-jerk reactions like, this armor hitbox system sucks, change it, it's too random, I don't like it, it's not fun. And what did they do? They reverted it. They basically made the armor hitboxes massive to where it's not even like an armor hitbox system, it's literally the old armor system, basically, just like with a different like base code, because you have these massive like hitboxes on your character now. And when what happens? People would then complain, oh my god, everybody's so tanky. I have to shoot people so many times to kill him. I have to mag dump people, and I have to have the best ammo now in order for people to die, unless I shoot them in the face. And it's just like this constant like, BSG, change it. No, not this way. That's not what we wanted. Oh, change it. Not this way. That's not what we wanted. And that just happens so many times that it's like kind of fuck the game up. And it's like, it's too far gone because of so many of those situations happening over and over and over again. It's like very homogenized. And for me, like, again, the easiest solution straight up to people dying to random one taps is literally just increasing the chest of the thorax. That's it. Change one config. Don't make it 85 HP anymore. Make it 130 HP. Boom. Now there's only like a handful of ammos in the game that can actually one tap you to the chest if it hits you in a non-armored area. Guess what? Holy crap, no more random one taps. Isn't that crazy how simple of a change that would be? But no, they pressured BSG to literally waste a bunch of time to completely redesign the armor hitbox system to basically make it the old armor hitbox system, where when you wear armor, it covers your entire body. It's just, I don't know, man. It's ridiculous to me. It seems crazy that the game has gone this far and is still kind of making these mistakes. And I don't necessarily put the blame on BSG nor the community. I think it's both. It's kind of like an equal thing. You know what I mean? It's like they're both kind of at fault in their own ways. But kind of like, to dial it back, the game's just very homogenized. I don't want to see this game fail. I don't think it's a failure. I think EFT is still by far one of the most successful games of all time. It's literally spurred the new trend of the extraction shooter genre. Every big AAA company is trying to do what Battlestate has done, but they can't because they're not really willing to take the same risks that Battlestate has done. There's a lot of friction in EFT. There's a lot of things that you kind of have to figure out on your own. You're kind of constantly in a state of discovery. You'll like kind of constantly learn new things, but all of these bigger developers, AAA devs, are trying to casualize this experience where the extraction shooter genre is inherently hardcore. You can't really make it easier or make it casual because that's not what the audience is. It's not a casual audience to begin with. People got into Tarkov because this game is hard as it's challenging. It makes them grit their teeth. It gets their heart rate up. It makes them excited. They're always kind of constantly lost until eventually, again, you figure out where all the spawns are and you kind of learn all the meta about the games. Then it's you're no longer lost anymore. You just kind of can predict everything. But as a new player, like that's how it is. That's why people play these games. But that's a risky thing to do because that's not a very accessible experience. It's not very safe for people to kind of get into. Again, I want to see this game succeed. I'm really excited to see what 1.0 has to offer because at the end of the day, like, man, I just want to beat the game. I just want to escape Tarkov. I want to finish the journey of the PMC. I want to know what that is because like I've been hyped up about it for so long. You know, so I'm very curious to see what they have planned for 1.0. I feel like they've been working on a lot of stuff that we haven't really been told or we haven't seen. You know, stuff that's been going on behind the scenes. So Nikita needs to go back to not caring, doing what he wanted. I half agree. I think it's good as a developer to have like a vision. But at the same time, like when you release a game, eventually the game kind of becomes the community's game as well. But there's a fine line there where it's like if you let the community go too far and overly change the game, it can obviously hurt you. When you're too stubborn as a developer to make the game your experience and like not ever budge to change from the community, I feel like is also a bad idea. There's like a fine balance between like community feedback and vision for developer that you need to balance. And I feel like what happened with Tarkov is the community got like overtook BSG's vision. That's what I see that has happened. It wasn't really like Battlestate, I mean, sticking to their guns, I guess you could say, but like the community, I think, got way too aggressive and parroted a lot of things from like content creators, streamers, in terms of what they wanted the game to be like or what they perceived the game to be like, and pressured BSG to change those things. Like I said, weight system, armor hitbox, we just talked about that. Those are like two really good examples, and those aren't the only ones either. There's plenty of other examples as well. But it is what it is. We'll see what they can do. I mean, the game has the road to 1.0. There's a lot of changes coming. You know, the game is going to get hopefully bigger and better, and we'll be able to finally experience like Tarkov to the fullest. For me, the one thing that I want changed more than anything about the game is the way the raids work, is the whole predictability of spawns, predictability of loot. It's not dynamic at all. I think that's the worst part of the game. It's one of the main reasons why I quit. I remember I just had a day where it's like I'd spawn in, I'd look right, kill a guy off spawn, basically on instinct. Like I didn't even have to think about it. Or like I got killed off spawn like within the first 15 seconds of a raid because somebody just knows I'm going to be there. And I kind of sat there for myself and I'm like, man, like why the fuck am I playing this anymore? Like this isn't fun. Like I want to be lost in the sauce. I don't want to know where anybody is. I don't want anybody to know where the fuck I'm at until they hear me move or shoot my gun. And like that whole predictability of the raid system and the way it has been for a really long time, like when you're new, it's kind of fun and exciting and interesting, right? Because you don't know anything. But once you figure it out, it's not fun anymore. It's so boring and so predictable that it's like, it just feels like a battle royale with spawns, spawn points. Yeah, no, the cycle is the only game I think in the extraction genre that really managed to elevate the extraction genre, right? So it's like you had these servers that only reset once every 8 hours for like obviously maintenance purposes. And then you would have, you know, the drop pods come in and you see them out in the distance. But like when you came into the match, you didn't know where the players were. They kind of knew where you were because they saw you drop in. You didn't know what has and hasn't been looted. And then you'd basically have this storm that would happen that would make you either have to get into a building or constantly move. And as this storm is going on, if there are areas of the map where there are no players, loot will respawn there. And then that way it makes the game actually feel pretty dynamic and unpredictable. And you could literally do the same thing for Tarkov. No bullshit. All you have to do, you have people spawn in. You have to have a proximity check. So it's like whenever a player spawns into a raid, there will be a minimum distance from any other player. AI are obviously one thing. You could probably spawn around some AI, but not other players, not other PMCs. Same thing with player scavs. And then what would happen is you'd have like artillery barrage or like mortar barrage happen. And what the mortar barrage would do is force you to go inside of a building. If you were outside of the building while the barrage was going on, it would just kill you. You would get hit and die. Like the script would be like, hey, there's a player outside, boom, hit him. This way, it would force you to go inside somewhere and stay still, hold still and until, you know, the mortar barrage is over. And so as there's players during this barrage inside the buildings, not moving, the game server would then do a proximity check like, okay, where are there no players? Okay, there's no players at dorms. There's no players at New Gas, no players on top of the hill here. Let's respawn loot. Then the loot respawns, you leave the buildings, then you go about your raid again. And then it stays truly dynamic. But it's just a matter of actually getting some kind of logic in place where you have the game client and server that can read where players are not, and where they can spawn loot, and where can players basically respawn concurrently into a raid, to where like a raid never really shuts down or turns off until like it needs to, just to like refresh the cache, refresh the RAM for like, you know, like optimization or performance purposes. But a raid would actually be truly persistent, and you would never really know where people are. You never would know what has and hasn't been looted. And I feel like that to me that alone would bring me back to the game and want to play it again. Just like the sense of like, you're lost in the sauce. You don't know where the anybody is. Obviously labs and stuff would have to be a little different. Maybe you'd need like a chemical radiation leak or something like that. That makes you have to like leave the raid or something. Maybe the radiation gets really high. You need like gas mask and filters or something, but whatever, that's a different discussion. But yeah, man, it's that predictability I think is just killing the game. It makes it so boring. It's just so solved. It's not fun anymore. Thank you for listening to my rant, everyone.